The mystery of the missing pyramid of Khufu in Giza. The Great Pyramid of Khufu's capstone, or Pyramidion, is a lost mystery. What happened to this Pyramidion? Ancient texts suggest it symbolizes the king's star soul. One of the greatest mysteries of Giza is the missing Pyramidion, or capstone of the Great Pyramid of Khufu, the Great Pyramid of Giza. Since modern recorded history, the Great Pyramid has been topless, with several meters of its apex missing. Egyptologists have assumed that the pyramid was originally capped by a small pyramid called the Pyramidion. If that's true, then what happened to it and what could it have looked like? It's possible, indeed highly probable, that the great Egyptian architect and royal vizier Imhotep was still alive when Khufu planned his pyramid. Imhotep was the high priest of Heliopolis, where the sacred Ben stone was kept, and on its shape and symbolism was modeled the gilded capstones of pyramid called Ben. Could Imhotep have advised Khufu to conceal the Ben in his pyramid? But where? And this is a text called from the discussion in Appendix 1 of the latest book, co-written by Thomas Bromey, PhD, Imhotep the African, Architect of the Cosmos, from Disinformation Books. In October 1900, the guards of the Egyptian Antiquities Organization, EAO, in the area of Dashur, Egypt, a site on the western desert that is some 20 kilometers south of modern Cairo, were attacked by a group of brigands. A few days later, Gaston Maspero, the head of the EAO, went to inspect the site. It was then that he was taken to see an amazing and rather unique artifacts that had been found embedded in the sand near the pyramid of the 12th dynasty, belonging to the pharaoh Amenemhet III. That's the black destroyed pyramid that I posted a video about a couple of days back. There, sticking partially out of the sand, was a magnificent pyramidion made of black granite. Maspero could hardly believe his eyes at the amazing preservation of this 4,000-year-old artifact, which in his excitement he described as polished like a mirror. The pyramid, which measured 1.85 meters at the base and had a height of about 1.40 meters, was decorated with wonderful inscriptions. On one face was a winged solar disk flanked by two uraeus as sacred cobras, and under the solar disk were two large eyes. Under the eyes were three lutes with a large sun disk underneath. On each side of the sun disk were the royal cartouches bearing the names of Amenemhet III, and at the base of the triangular face were two lines of hieroglyphs. In an article published in the Annals du Service des Antiquités 9002, Maspero gave this translation: "May the face of the king be opened so that he may see the Lord of the horizon when he crosses the sky. May he cause the king to rise as a god, Lord of eternity and indestructible. Horakti has said, I have given to the king of Upper and Lower Egypt the beautiful horizon who takes the inheritance of the two lands, so that you may unite with the horizon. The horizon has said that you rest upon it, which pleases me." End quote. In view of the mention of Horakti, that's Horus of the horizon, who was regarded as the symbol of the rising sun in the east, Maspero concluded that this face with the winged sun disk was the east face of the Pyramidion. Maspero did not give a full translation of the other three faces, which also bore two lines of inscriptions each, but nonetheless adds that the invocation is similarly addressed on the south face to Anubis, on the west face to Ptah, Sokar, Osiris, and the north face to Sa, Orion. The same view was later expressed by the American Egyptologist James Henry Breasted in 1912, and Breasted wrote, "On the side which undoubtedly faces the east appears a winged sun disk surmounted by a pair of eyes, beneath which are the words, 'Beauty of the sun.' The eyes, of course, indicate the idea of beholding, which is to be understood with the words beauty of the sun. And below is an inscription of 2 lines beginning, the face of King Amenhotep III is opened, that he may behold the Lord of the horizon when he sails across the sky. In 1964, the American Egyptologist Alexander Piankov, renowned for his translation of the pyramid texts, gave a translation of part of the east face which mentioned the constellation of Orion. The soul of Amenhotep III is higher than the heights of Orion, and it unites itself with the Duat. Piankov interpreted the above by writing that here, as in the pyramid texts, Orion is the visible manifestation of Osiris, who, like this constellation, descends to the netherworld, that is Duat, and then appears again in the sky. In 1946, the British Egyptologist Sir I.E.S. Edwards, an authority on the pyramids of Egypt, gave his own translation of the east face. He said, "May the face of the king be opened so that he may see the Lord of the horizon. When he crosses the sky, he may cause the king to shine as a god, Lord of eternity and indestructible." Harakte replies that he has given the beautiful horizon to the king. Today, Egyptologists agree that the pyramids of ancient Egypt represent the dead kings. Indeed, the pyramid was regarded as an actual personification of the dead king, and indeed the name given to the pyramid show clearly that these monuments were considered to be the afterlife form of the king himself, according to A. Piankov, for example. The embodied body of the king lay in or under the pyramid, which together with its entire compound was considered his body. And this is what usually used to go on in the early Christian church. They would entomb the saint, and they would build a church over the saint. One example is a very old church, about 1000 AD, of Saint Theodora, with a little church that has the trees growing on the roof. And by LiDAR scans, they found that there is very deep down under the church, on the foundations of the church, very poorly made anyway, but it's still standing after over 1,000 years. There is a body. Now, this then here may explain why, in the case of the last 3 pyramids, the monuments were given stellar names, while also personifying the dead king, such as Jeffrey as a star in the sky, Nebka is a star, and the pyramid of Djoser being called Horus is a star at the head of the sky. All this leads us to conclude that the Pyramidion on top of the king's pyramid was regarded as the stellar transfiguration king, the transfigured king, or his star soul. It's only when we view it as such that descriptions on the east side of the Pyramidion of Amenhotep III makes any sense. May the face of the king be opened so that he may see the Lord of the horizon. But 2 questions now must be also considered. For if indeed the Pyramidion represents the form of the king as a star, then what could possibly have given the ancient Egyptians the idea that a star had the physical shape of a pyramid, and furthermore, that it was composed of very hard black stone, such as black granite? Most Egyptologists agree that the shape of pyramids was inspired by the Benben stone that was venerated in the mansion of the Phoenix at the city of Heliopolis. Many scholars claim that the Benben was symbolic of the sun. In 1912, the eminent American Egyptologist James H. Breasted noted the similarity of the word Benben with the word Ben-Benet, the pyramid-shaped apex of an obelisk, and concluded that an obelisk is simply a pyramid upon a lofty base which has become a shaft. The obelisk, as is commonly known, is a symbol sacred to the sun god. It follows that the king was buried under the very symbol of the sun god, which stood in the Holy of Holies in the Sun Temple at Heliopolis. This conclusion by an authority of the caliber of Breasted was quickly embraced by other authorities, such as Sir I.E.S. Edwards, who also proposed that the occasional sight of the immaterial triangle formed by the sun's rays striking downwards through low clouds at sunset could have been the inspiration for the Benben shape and its architectural derivative, the true pyramid. Edwards quoted several passages from the pyramid text that seem to support this idea. I have laid down for myself the sunshine of yours as a stairway under my feet. May the sky make the sunlight strong for you. May you rise up to the sky. According to Edwards, the temptation to regard the true pyramid as a material representation of the sun's rays, and consequently as means whereby the dead king could ascend to heaven, seems irresistible. Yet it's also true that the pyramid texts give many other reasons for the dead pharaoh to ascend to the sky on a ladder. The king climbs to the sky on a ladder. On the wind, the king is bound for the sky on the wind. On a storm cloud, thunderbolt, the king is a flame before the wind. There is brought to him a way of ascending to the sky. On a hailstorm, the hailstorms of the sky have taken me. On a reed float, the reed floats of the sky are set in place for me. I am ferried over to the eastern sky. By climbing a rope, set the rope aright across the Milky Way. On the thighs of Isis, I ascend to the sky upon the thighs of Isis. So the pyramid texts are full of such metaphors, and thus the idea of the dead king climbing on the sun's rays is only another to describe poetically the celestial ascent and cannot be taken as evidence for the shape of the Benben or the pyramid. There is, however, in the pyramid texts a passage which directly equates to the actual pyramid to the king of Osiris. The king is Osiris, the pyramid of the king is Osiris. This construction of his is Osiris. Betake yourself to it and do not be far from it in its name of pyramid. In the rebirth rituals of the pyramid text, the dead king's name is compounded with the name of Osiris, who, showing after his death the king became an Osiris. Now Osiris in the pyramid text was a star god whose soul was identified to the constellation of Orion. Behold, Osiris has become as Orion. O king, you are this great star, the companion of Orion. Could therefore the Benben stone and its derivatives, the pyramid and the Pyramidion, the cap that is, be regarded as the star symbols? And it's true that the mansion of the phoenix in which was kept the Benben stone was in the city of Ionu, later called Heliopolis, city of the sun by the Greeks. An association of the Benben with the sun does not necessarily follow. One must wonder, was a pyramid or conical shaped stone would be regarded as manifestation of the sun when all ancient Egyptian art in the sun is represented as a disk or a circle? Egyptologists have argued that the reason for this was because the Benben stone may also have been a symbol of the so-called primeval mound in the pyramid texts, on which is said that the first sunrise took place, implying that the shape of the pyramid was inspired by the idea of a sacred mound. Edwards rejects this idea by pointing out that the primeval mound was linked to the much older mastaba tomb structure of the first three dynasties, which was not pyramid-shaped but rather the form of a rectangular slab. Clearly, another more plausible explanation for the pyramidal or conical shape of the Benben stone must be sought. It's known that a sacred pillar was worshipped at Heliopolis before the Benben. The phallic symbols, the symbolism of a pillar needs no emphasis. It is associated with the phallus of Atum, is implied in the pyramid texts. Atum is he who once came into being, who masturbated in Heliopolis, and he took his phallus in his grasp that he might create orgasm by means of it. O Atum, the rising sun, Khoprer, the sacred beetle, you became high on the heights, and you rose as a Benben stone in the mansion of the phoenix in On. The Egyptologist Henry Frankfurt made the plausible suggestion that the Benben was placed atop a sacred pillar, giving rise to the idea of the obelisk and Benben Pyramidion as its top, and that the Pyramidion may thus represent the semen or seed being ejected from the cosmic phallus associated to Atum. There are several well-known depictions of the earth god Geb, the son of Atum, laying down with an exaggeratedly long phallus pointing to the sky god Nut, or the mother of Osiris. Interesting, right? And the writer says, in my opinion then, the idea of a pillar surging skywards on top of which was the Ben stone is highly symbolic of a giant phallus offering a starseed to the sky goddess in order to gestate in her womb the cause and departed king to be reborn. And bearing this in mind, it comes as no surprise to discover what the word Ben is often given the meaning to copulate or seed a womb, confirmed by the hieroglyphic sign of the erect phallus shown. The king is your seed. The king comes to you, O mother of the king. He has come to Nut that you may bring the sky to the king and hang the stars for him. The sky goddess Nut conceives you with Orion. So, as we've said earlier in the article, the names of several monumental pyramids were given stellar names such as Defre is a Sehed star, Nebka is a star, and also the Ba is the soul of the dead king, clearly to be regarded as a star in the pyramid text, which indirectly also gives a stellar name to many other pyramids, such as the soul Ba of Sahur gleams, and Neferrir Kari has become the soul. This is a very long article if you want to read it all by yourself. And this is on Collective Spark. Please leave your comments and thank you for your support. Please support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.